as you just mentioned, that hard freeze is coming up. So what does that mean for your plants and flowers? Taft talks with our garden expert Paul James for 2 Works for You in the Garden.
Good morning, welcome back to In the Garden. Paul Taft here. Guess what, Paul? We're talking about a hard freeze coming up here.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I know there are going to be a lot of people who are watching this morning who are panicking right now because they have a lot of flowers, plants, things outside that they want to protect. The big question is, what do they need to do between now and tonight?
Okay, what you really need to do is nothing.
Nothing. I can do that.
Okay, we're done.
That's easy. Good. Thanks a lot. We'll see y'all later.
Now, look, here's the deal. This time of year, plants know what's coming down the pike, okay? So you're forecasting in mid-20s, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's a hard freeze for sure. But this time of year, the plants have already started the process of going into dormancy, so they're well equipped to handle whatever nature throws at them. Now, if this was April and plants were just beginning to bud out, then it would be cause for concern because temperatures like this can do serious damage to plants. But now, no, you don't need to bust out the blankets. You don't need the plastic sheeting. In fact, there's so much moisture in the ground right now, thanks to the rains earlier this week, that I wouldn't even really worry about watering. If it was really dry, that would be the one thing I would suggest, was to deep soak everything. But it's so nice and moist that you don't even need to do that. If you've still got tropicals out there, they need to come in. If you still got some tomatoes on the vine, go ahead and harvest, say goodbye to your tomatoes. But beyond that, there's really just not that much to be concerned about.
And it's kind of the same thing even if we have potted plants out there, same thing with them, or is it a little better to bring them in?
Depends on what's out there, but you might consider bringing some of those in just into the garage, not necessarily the house. When you're growing something in a container, it's going to be one zone different than our regular zone.
Okay.
So you do need to keep that in mind. But, it's also the time of year when you just have to say goodbye to a lot of stuff because it's over. I mean, the growing season is over for a lot of plants.
And we've had some great weather through October and now through November, and we've had just some beautiful color out there, and we've enjoyed it. But yeah, there's just a time when we got to say goodbye to it because wintertime is definitely going to move in sooner or later.
That's right. And sadly, we're probably going to say goodbye to a lot of the fall color we're seeing because as soon as that freeze hits, then typically the leaves will start to fall. But like you said, we've really had this magnificent extended season. The fall has just been fantastic.
And I know I've had some potted plants, some tropicals for years that I leave outside during the summer and obviously the fall, and I bring them in the winters, put them in the garage, and they last through the wintertime and bring them back out on those days when it's maybe 50 or 55 degrees a couple times during the wintertime.
Exactly. The only thing you need to keep in mind there when you do bring those in, check them for insects. You don't want to bring those into the house. Maybe hit them with a strong blast of water from the hose. A little horticultural oil is not a bad thing to spray on them, and that way you're not importing those pests into the home. Another thing that I really want to stress is now is not the time to prune.
Okay.
If you prune now and then we have warm temperatures return, which often happens.
It's possible, yes.
Then you may get new growth, and that new growth is not going to have a chance to harden off before it really gets cold again.
Okay.
So don't be pruning azaleas and boxwoods. Don't be pruning anything right now. Wait another couple of months actually, and then we can get into the heavy pruning season.
Anything we need to think about once this cold snap hits, and maybe we warm back into the 50s and 60s for a time, maybe in early December, just once this moves on by, we just leave them as is?
Yeah, one more thing to consider, once we have that first hard freeze, which we're definitely going to have, it's a good time to go ahead and mulch.
Okay.
Get a fresh layer of mulch out there. That'll help insulate the root balls of plants. It looks great. Once you get the leaves all cleared up in your beds, and go ahead, a fresh layer of mulch will do wonders and protect those plants through the winter.
So doing nothing, I like that. So what you're saying is, even though it's going to be cold tonight, throw another blanket on the bed, but you don't have to worry about it on your plants.
Bingo, and another log on the fire.
Sounds good.